It's the time for Pandora Jungle Time, package from China. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So we're looking here at a very huge brown box, and the reason why, we're going to take a close look at the new Pandora's box. Yep, there is a new one out, and this one is quite cheap. But beside the point, it's a very cheap box. It's also very small, so we can also call this like the tiny Pandora's box. There is like a minor assembly required because, yep, here you can see it. The ball tops are in a bag itself, and the reason why, because of the packaging, we need to make it like compact as possible, so they are removing this. We're going to get some spare buttons. We're going to get the power supply, 12 volt, the USB cable like always. You're not going to get this one every time, but you can connect this device to your PC. Then we're going to get a very long HDMI cable, and of course the user guide, or I love to call them the toilet paper manuals, which is a basic explanation about how everything works, how you need to set it up. For example, if you want to hook up an external speaker surround set, you can all do that. Alright, so let's remove the styrofoam. And the model itself I've reviewed, let's say, similar products. And I mean like the Pandora's box itself, but also when it comes to the layout of the buttons in combination with the joystick, and of course the cover or the sticker they're using on this. But there is a minor difference. So the difference is that this thing is quite small. It's still made of metal. I have seen like the plastic fantastic casings. So this thing weighs around 5 kilograms. It can be a little bit more, a little bit less, but in the end, like, this thing is quite nice when it comes to the build quality. But let's take a close look at it, like what are we going to get with the button configuration, and yeah, what are our connections, and of course what can we play with it. And when you're putting them side by side, you can see like there is quite a difference. Not only when it comes to the size over here, you can see like this thing is way smaller than the official Pandora's box. And this is like the basic, let's say, box they are using for the 8 button and the 6 button. So we can say that this thing is the tiny box. Another difference is like the height of the stick itself. The tiny edition is way better positioned. It has like a very, let's say, in a small angle. And what I like about it is that it plays way better and way comfortable. Because when you're going to get a stick that is way too high, it's not going to be possible to play it for a very long time. And that is something that it improved with this version now. So what you can see over here, like the angle, it's a very, let's say, tiny angle what you're going to get over here. But I like it a lot, and it makes us playing way more comfortable in combination with the height. I think they did an amazing job with this. Because the official stick, this is how it looks. It's super high. And it doesn't have an angle at all. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is adding the ball tops to it. It's quite simple. You just basically put it on here. And that's it. That's the only thing that you need to do. You need to get yourself the screwdriver. You need to get yourself like the flat screwdriver. And at the bottom we will find a hole where you can just stick it in. And tighten up the screw itself so you can tighten up the ball top. That's it. Alright. Sexy. So let's grab ourselves the second ball, the blue ball of power, and let's add it to the player number 2. So that's the only thing that we need to do. Woo! Let's go! But let's talk about the joystick. How is the quality? Because this can be an issue when it comes to these cheap sticks, or the tiny stick in this case. So first of all, the joystick is okay quality. So it's like your standard, like your basic Samba clone, that will just do fine. I really like the Samba versions, so take consideration if you're spending some money on the stick, Samba is way better. The buttons, and this is an issue. Like when you're looking at this is what we call like the Chinese wiggle buttons. These things are freaking awful. Long travel, and they feel okay, but I'm guessing that after using it like for a very long time, they will wear out. You get some spares, but it's not the case that the spares, like, even if the buttons are cheap, the buttons is a part of the freaking arcade experience. And this is not a good one. Wiggle, 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 wiggle button. At the top we're going to get some extra buttons. Start for starting the game, of course, play 1, coin for entering coins, pause for going back to the main menu, then we're going to get a select, and the button that we're only going to need when you're using this device as an arcade stick on a PC, for example. So at the back we're going to get our typical connection. Over here we're going to get the on and off switch, the input for power supply 12 volt, HDMI out, VGA out, audio out, volume control. There we're going to get this tiny button for going into the settings, and then we're going to get 2 connections for your, for example, an USB controller. because this device has sometimes quite interesting options. But take consideration if you want to go old school style and you want to use the VGA port, this doesn't always support every single signal out, like especially when you want to put it in an old school arcade machine. A couple of main boards from the official Pandora box that has support for this. But what I do like are the nice light up feature that comes with the wiggle Chinese buttons. Personally I prefer, like say, light up feature with some better, way better quality buttons, because this, nah. But when it comes to a cheap device like this, there will be limitations. And not only with the buttons that I don't like them already, like the software itself. Yep, what they're going to give us is the Pandora's Box Saga 9D. For the people who have no idea what I'm talking about, I can say like, it's a very old one. But let's talk about what you can do with it. But let's put it this way, it's not like it's so old that we cannot have like some extra options. To begin with, when you're pressing C, you can go to the search page, OK, pressing A, and then we're going to get the recent list if you've played a couple of games. Okay guys, so kind of weird situation over here, so or having this gigantic brain fart, but when pressing the C, normally when you're choosing a letter, let's say King of Fighters, pressing A. Ah, I don't have a brain fart, you need to type at least 2 letters, so we can search our games. But yeah, the game list, let's talk about that, because oh boy. The game list, it's the same stuff that we've seen many times before. In total, they say you have 3000 games, but I can say like this is more like a Pandora's Box 6 with some minor tweaks. And the really messed up thing is like they are even having all of the errors that you have seen with the Pandora's Box 6. And guess what? You cannot change anything out, so you're stuck with the crap that doesn't work or have like issues. And that's what I don't like about the Pandora Saga 9D. It's a big collection, but in my opinion, not the best collection. It's basically like an upgraded Pandora's Box 6, with a lot of problems. But when you're looking at the settings itself, also here they didn't change anything out. There is no freaking aspect ratio. So let's go to the system configuration for you guys, just to show you. We do have the option to add, let's say, 2 additional joysticks. So what you can do, like having... Okay, so they're already like configuring it wrong, simply because it's set here to the 2 controllers. So let's put it over here. Like here you can see like you can turn on and off these controllers. Are quite interesting, so you can basically play together with 4 players. But the only downside to this stick itself is, or the main board, is that it doesn't support every single controller. Okay, so let's fix that one and let's put quality optimization off. I personally really hate it because it's just really rubbish. Game settings, you can change out difficulty settings, stuff like that. But there is no aspect ratio. So for the aspect ratio, I will do my own wicked fix. Let's go to my television menu. So that's the pros and the biggest pros that we're having when it comes to Intellivision. Let's put it on mode. Let's see. Let's choose the format over here. You can basically do this with every single television. Let's put it by 4:3 aspect ratio. Ah, this looks way better. Don't you think so? So let's play the games like this, like it should be, without shitty filters. Alright, so let's see how it runs Mortal Kombat the arcade. Ah, I completely forgot that this board doesn't run Mortal Kombat at all. Epic fail, man. See, and that's the biggest con of these, let's say, 9D boards. Like, they try to improve it, or like they try to improve it, but most of the time you're completely messing it up. So this is a new edition. This is a stuttering Mortal Kombat arcade edition. You can play by 2 frames a second. And there is, by the way, no way to fix this. But these boards are capable of running PlayStation 1. It's quite interesting. But they consider these things like running on low resolution. They're not even running on 1080p. So when you're getting yourself on Pi or something like that, you can get so many more better performance. But yeah, if you just want to enjoy some old school games. Ooh! It runs just fine. Especially in 4:3 aspect ratio. Beefcake Man! And this device is full of hacks of original games. So like, this seems to be one of the weird ones, like having the gun edition. No idea what it does. I have this sparkling thing around me. No idea what it does. Okay. I didn't even know I can do that. Ah, now we can see it like I have unlimited bullets. Give me the machine gun. But if you need to open it up, I must say this is like the less favorite kind of Pandora's boxes. And the reason why is that you need to open it up with 5 or 6 screws, and I'm recalling it correctly, and you just need to lift up the top case. And with, like say, the one I've shown you before, the bigger one has like a hatch, and it looks like a way better quality, and it's super convenient if you just need to switch out a button or your main board. But of course, normally, I think in the future you will shall need to remove the buttons, because these things are like freaking awful. They work just fine, but they feel so cheap. Ugh, and I don't like cheap in that way. Alright, let's turn it around. Let's remove the other couple of screws there. Alright, so this is number 4. And now we're going to do the number 6. Or 5. I cannot count. Mario cannot count anymore. No. Pretendo. And then we can lift up the case itself. And that's it. Let's do a quick overview of the inside. Okay, so I'm not very pleased the way how they assembled this, and the reason is very simple. Now they're using these very fragile, let's say, flat cables, and I already need to remove one of them because they tie wrap them, and it's just a freaking nightmare. And the reason why I didn't like it, there are like a lot of different parts, like PCBs over there, and there. If there's one of them get broken, you just have a big issue, and you can always fix it very easily. That's not a big problem. The interesting thing is like the flat cables go to a PCB over there, and just the buttons and the joystick will be assembled on the main board. That is up top over here. I find it a very strange way, because with the cable tree it's such, let's say, cheaper and easy way to build, because it just, the cable goes straight into the button, and if the cable tree gets some problems, or like you're getting a disconnection, or you're going to get an issue, you can just replace a certain wire or the full cable tree. These things are like $15 or something. I don't know why they're going to all the efforts of getting ribbon cables, extra PCBs. Such a weird thing. But if you want to, let's replace a button and joystick, you can do so, super easy. Pop it open, switch them out, and you're ready to go. Alright, so this is absolutely the brand new edition, and I mean with brand new edition is that from 2020 is over here. That's that with this new edition we having still an active fan. I'm very pleased to see this, because now we're using passive fans, but it's like a shorter board. Normally like this piece is filled completely, but you can see like they are trying to improve it in the form factor, so they can like basically, I wouldn't say improve it, like downgrade it. I can better say like downgrade it, make it cheaper so we can sell stuff cheaper, but the specs will be the same, like an old school quad core, stuff like that. It's a little bit of a bummer, because I wish they like improve the main board so we have better performance, and not like make them cheaper and having like the shitty performance that we have seen now. Overall, the CDF cards is over here, you can't pop it out, but adding games to these systems is most of the time a pain in the ass, because they're like not open, they're like locked systems, especially when it comes to the emulators. Alright guys, so the conclusion is like this is like the cheap to the cheap edition. The Pandora Box 9D main board is absolutely not a great board. It has a lot of issues that we have seen with the Pandora Box 5, 6 and stuff like that. The search function is kind of clunky. I'm not a big fan of it. There's no category system or such kind of things I've seen before with different Pandora's boxes or Pandora Games 3D. So in my opinion, this is like a cheap solution if you just want to play some two-dimensional games, like the really basic stuff. And it's like a cheap plug-and-play device. I'm not a big fan of it, simply because if you're spending a little bit more money, you get so much better options, you get so much more stuff that you can play and can do with it, especially with, let's say, a Pandora tool. Like there are pieces of software out there, people who develop stuff that makes the boards even better and having more features. But yeah, I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the biggest family, and I will see you in the next video.